Good afternoon, good morning or good evening, and welcome to Eat the Storms, the poetry podcast. My name is Damien B. Donnelly, and I get to be your host and producer today, tomorrow, or maybe even yesterday, or whenever it is you've decided to tune in on your preferred podcast platform. And in terms of those platforms, that might be Spotify, Apple, Breaker, Podbean, Player FM, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castbox, Podcast Addicts, iTunes, Amazon Music, or maybe even YouTube. So wherever your platform is, we are the podcast here to deliver your weekend fix of all things poetic. And this week, it's been a poetry-filled week, not only here on the podcast, but this week I was invited to be the chair for the poetry evening at the Red Line Book Festival in Tallaght, here in Dublin in Ireland. And so over the past few weeks, I've been reading 3 new poetry collections from Molly Twomey, Chic to be Sad, her second poetry collection, which was published by Gallery Press, Kevin Graham, and his second poetry collection published by Gallery Press, also called Time's Guest, and Keith Payne, and his 11th collection of poetry and poetry in translation, which is called Savage Acres, and that was published by Daedalus Press. Molly's Chic to be Sad opens in the childhood home, soon to be destroyed by fire, and throughout this exploration of the things that are left behind, the scars, the ruins that become lost objects to cherish, we also move into another location of the collection, that of the body, whether we like it or not. In Keith's Savage Acres, we continue in the home, but this time extend to that of the house. Houses plural, with housing estates, the urban architectural sprawl that for so many of us is the route to which we can travel back to the streets where we first made our steps out into the world. These concrete jungles with so many characters inside them. And then with Kevin's latest collection, Time's Guest, we are indeed Time's Guest, often in nature's garden and now the Bracken's architecture, where we as humans become insignificant specks confronted with the magnificence of nature as it slips through our fingers while its frailty is very much our fault. All worthy collections to be a part of your bookshelves filled with memory boxes to treasure. And now to today's guests. As usual, we have 4 poets to entertain you on this episode, so all that's required of you is to slide down on the sofa, the lounger, the park bench, or perhaps you are coasting along the motorway. Wherever you are, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you brought a sweet treat or two to keep you company, and perhaps also a cup of tea, a pitcher of your favourite cocktail, or maybe just a bottle of water to keep you refreshed. My name is Damien B. Donnelly. This is Eat the Storms, the poetry podcast, and I hope you enjoy the show. And so my first guest on the show today sticks to the theme of revisiting guests from our first couple of seasons here on this season of Eat the Storms. This guest has not only been a frequent visitor to the podcast, but also joined us for our very first live Zoom event way back in the depths of COVID in 2021 when we held our Deck the Storms, the first live Christmas showcase, when for the first time in such a long time we really felt like we were a community and not just distant islands. So it is a real treat to welcome her back to the podcast today with writing that explores place and heritage. She was shortlisted for the Bridport Prize, nominated for the Best of the Net and Pushcart Prize, and her poems have appeared in places like Poetry Wales, Propel, Ink, Sweat and Tears, Atrium, Fly on the Wall Press, Black Bough Poetry, where we both appeared in the Deep Time Anthology Volume 2, Indigo Dreams and many more. She is a committee member for the Scottish Centre of Geopoetics, contributing editor to The Winged Moon, and has been a guest editor at the Wee Sparrow Poetry Press, Feral and Blackbough Poetry. Joining us today from Cardiff in Wales, where she works as an architect, please go wild wherever you are for the wonderful Marcelle Newbold.
Hello, it's Marcelle Newbold here. Many thanks to Damie for this opportunity to be back on the Storms podcast. I've got 5 poems for you. The first one is Hope lies like the edge of a teaspoon, upward facing a thickness. And this was published by Ink, Sweat and Tears. Hope lies like the edge of a teaspoon, upward facing a thickness. Perhaps enough solidness to knife through a banana or other soft fruit, for safety for a baby, or to get under the edge of the surface tension of the skin of a grape to start a peel. Perhaps enough boldness to lever the metal lid off the treacle for tarts, or the figurines' mini enamel paint pots, or that tap root of your favourite weed for a move to safety. Perhaps enough cheek to plunge unembarrassed deep into the Nutella pot for a mouthful of pleasure, thick and sweet, or seek the bottom of the ice cream tub, lap-cradled for Pride and Prejudice again. Perhaps enough crucible to cradle nettles or rosebuds to boil dead, to trace around to sketch a face on paper, or to measure the exact alchemy needed to rise. And now breathe. And now breathe. The air hums with a knowing. An edge is never an edge, just a door to a different green. A need evolved, a movement like a stream to the sea. The woods are not for the well-behaved. Shadow and lush, flitter, crowns, the language of deed and will. This is a place of unlearning, of so much green that stains, the reach of shyness at skybreak, the give of desire lines, that presence of invisible things, the noise and flutter of potential. Let your edges tumble away. These permeable borders open to the want for inundation again. Walk in, the forest waits, the taste of weightless air, so many things now alive. She carries it home. She carries it home to that place of safety, positions it delicate, slow, into the box she slides back from under her bed, after turning in its oversized keep a small fake silver key from her knicker drawer. The key that's shared with her keep-safe diary, the key she wears on a long bead necklace sometimes. She likes the feel of the sway of the secret against her skin. Mother said, don't lie, don't cheat, stay in the light or the shadows. One or the other. My son asks what mother tongue means, and this was published by Scarlet Tiger Press in their Stonework anthology. My son asks what mother tongue means, so we go to the river, listen between finches and willows the breeze of watermint. We go to the sea edge, storm approaching, follow out the high tide, receive shells. We go to the mountain, start early, cloud clear, walk under skylarks with the gorse and heather. We go to the meadow, the cowslip and dandelions, follow the bluebells and wild garlic into the woods. Choose a stick, each from windfall, thank the trees, touch the old stone walls for luck. And many thanks to Damien again. I'm really looking forward to hearing all the other poems. And this is the final one. To the dandelion that grows on the railway track. And this was published by the Wee Sparrow Poetry Press in an anthology called Lines of Communication, which I was lucky enough to co-edit with the lovely Bronwyn Evans. To the dandelion that grows on the railway track, you yellowed me open, friend. Broadened me back to small things, sparrows vibrating the sky, tree crowns shining high above the counting of the announcer's voice. the train rails that hum full of destination, or bees, blackberry honey on tongue. Once an adder on the scrub embankment, as a ship's warp coiled on a dock, waiting for the low sun to ease through layers of not yet shed skin, waiting for the highest of spring tides. You, a traveller clock, seeded in a fault line, how you thrive, fed by the drip from an overflow pipe, how you yellow, yellow, yellow.
And like I said last week in episode 1, not only are we welcoming and celebrating the return of former Stormers, we are also welcoming new guests, new Stormers to the podcast. And right now I'm delighted to say that my next guest is one of those. He is a writer and musician who was raised in northwest Donegal. And his work has been featured in major literary journals and newspapers, including the Los Angeles Press and the Irish Times and Strand. In 2016, he was selected for Poetry Ireland's introduction series, and in 2023, his first chapbook, Dog Heart, was published by Bottle Cap Press. A collection of poems that blend mythology and personal history into real and imaginary landscapes, from Dublin's Phoenix Park to the Metro in Barcelona. Today, joining us for the first time, not only with poems from that debut chapbook, Dog Hearts, but also with a collection of soundscapes he's working on, I am delighted to hand you over to Ben Simmons.
The Axe. The hawthorn tree is the body of my childhood, split at the fork, one branch pitched to the ground, by a wind that bloomed white light and thunder. In my sleep it bent the barbed wires of the farmer's fence and scattered stones from the rubble wall. I had no instructions, only to clear it. The rubber-skinned throat of my axe, its black and yellow handle, chipped bit and rusted cheek, was like me, not made for this. Even the bark of the hanging limb was a karst skin, and its thorny branches taught me to make scars. And life proceeded with each stroke. I breathed the fetor of its blossoms, and the May sun drew the storm rain from the earth in one long breath. Eurydice at the Metro in Barcelona. Descending from the sky, the sun's ire flickers on my eyes. In a metro's soup, I move through catacombs, snaking train cars, catch the names of stops on my tongue where songs once lived. Though I can't sing down here, bouncing me to sleep, till I hear her like a canary whistling her lover's tune. Our heels brush, a snake bite on her ankle. I see Eurydice on the Metro in Barcelona, weary from love. We alight and mingle through to the fork where I freeze. I do not know the way. Till she turns back to my confusion at the paths. Each arch reads sortida. Take either, she says, they are the same. Performance. In the sky, filaments of sunlight pierce through cirrostratus clouds to lift the morning rain. Wagner lingers on the corner of Chatham Street, and not a soul could make me smile at the jugglers, the painted clown, or the lady with the viola, knowing that street performers play with the idea of childhood trauma constantly, from prelude to Liebestod.
I think my next guest has been a guest on the podcast enough times to possibly have read from all of her poetry books. I first fell in love with her work when I read her chapbook Quicksand, which was published by Dreek, and we became hoglets together on the Hedgehog Poetry Press farm thanks to Mark Davidson when he published her Stickleback micro collection Balancing Act in 2021. And she followed that up with Step in the Dark in 2023 and Journey Through the Fire in 2024, all from the Hedgehog Poetry Press. Now, this year, the magnificent flight of the Dragonfly Press, headed by two remarkable writers who've also been guests on the show here, Barbara Kirbyshaw and Darren J. Beeney, published her new pamphlet, Forest Girl, which you're going to hear her read from today. She writes poems that cover many themes, but often engages with problems of disability, and has been widely published in places like Macmillan, OUP, Broken Sleep Books, Indigo Dreams Publishing, and Ink, Sweat and Tears. Today, our second returning guest to Eat the Storms is the marvellous Julie Stevens.
It's great to be back on Eat the Storms, Damien. Thank you so much. I'm going to read some poems from my pamphlet Forest Girl. Silver Birch. White as ghost soldiers, cleaned by angels, yet their hands are still covered in the dirt of trenches. Or is it that bold sky towering over that brings out their impurities? They gather as a threatening crowd with aimed feathered darts, toes gripping the earth that buried them. They say, "Look up," and these free hands frighten me. So many fingers, so many fingers. As I walk through, I feel them brush each death, touch my hair, as if to pull me up. This is Rose. That rose talks too much. Loudmouth petals protected by uniformed guards who won't let me listen. Each petal is like a heart, beating with sharp voices. He gave them to me in a romantic spin, yet I wonder why their backs are turned. I press my nose to their crimson skin and reel back from a rancid, stale smell. With legs dressed in armour, each blade cuts through the palm of my hand, my fingers. A birthday vase that once glistened is now smeared with my blood, like a dark, watching truth. A signal to find out how honest he is. I should unwrap this petal talk and locate their sinister intentions. enabled access. And if we didn't have legs, we'd all sit on chairs, enjoy being still, or wheel around on smooth paths. Everyone sat, everyone gossiping at half-mast. Look where you park. There's no lack of space here. They're the same for us all. Lavish room to comfortably exit your car. The shop doorways, the aisles have been designed wide enough to sit side by side. Ramps, they're on every street, cemented slopes to reach the next level. There are no steps. We don't need them. Use a lift? So many. Clean toilets everywhere. Plenty to spy. Never a queue. We all get along fine here. Sun glare. It's like the sun captured stars, dripping them down pages to words that glisten when found. A dazzling blast of light that twists and jolts these letters into spark-filled lies. Her teasing warmth nestles in my hair, tiptoes under curls where thoughts are lying down. I close the book, let the pages drift, and rest with summer. Sea legs. I saw them falling. 2 legs thrown from the cliff of medicine. One final sprint to chase the sea. I knew these waves. The rise and fall of a body only to drown far too early. They took my future, drenched my way forward, anchored me to this last race. Bloated and thrashed, I lay on the seabed, swallowing calls for help.
And my final guest today on this second episode of Season 10 is another very familiar voice to the podcast. And just like Marcelle at the beginning of today's show, he also joined us for Deck the Storms, our live Christmas showcase back in 2021. And like Julie this year, he is alumni of the brilliant Flight of the Dragonfly. He is a secondary school teacher who lives in Brighton, but originally from Oban in Argyllshire in Scotland. And a shout out to Scotland, as this episode is airing while I'm at a wedding in Glasgow. Bring me the haggis. He writes about self-imposed exile, cultural identity, memory, and how this connects to our relationship with the rural and urban places we inhabit. On the podcast, you've previously heard him read from his debut pamphlet, The Liquid Air, which was published by Dreek in 2021, and then in 2023, Flight of the Dragonfly published his debut full collection, The Fish Inside. And that same year, his poem, You Faustus, was awarded the first prize in the 2023 Indigo Dreams Poetry Competition. His work has appeared in Full House Literary, Flight's online journal, Fevers of the Mind, I Am, Wave 15, Ink, Sweat and Tears, Nutmeg magazine, Dreek, Southlight magazine, and I'm honoured to say that he was also with us in the inaugural issue of the Storms Journal alongside Julie, so please settle down into the excellent company of Andy Breckenridge.
Hello, it's a real pleasure to be back on Eat the Storms again, and I'd like to offer a huge thanks to Damien for asking some early Stormers to get some poems together for the podcast, which I'm delighted to do. My name's Andy. I tend to write about memory, cultural identity and a sense of being between places, whether that be Oban in the West Highlands or Brighton in Sussex, where I've lived for 25 years now. So I've got 5 poems for you today. I'd like to open with a poem written after Pablo Neruda's I Do Not Love You Because I Love You. And this poem appears in issue 27 of the Shore magazine, and it's called Carrying a Torch Along the Shoreline. The battery is failing and maybe I've taken it for granted this January. It feeds light that leads along the track where the owl hunts. Waves consume its wing beats and boot soles suck up mud, leave heart shapes that fill in soon enough with solid ground in summer. My breath creaks, pinched with a dusting in the throat. These pillars of sunlight steal moisture from language, and my larynx is locked and keyless. If I could walk to where it hangs, on a hook inside your door, true north from here, all the sea might flatten. This next poem won the August 2024 Poem of the Month in Ink, Sweat and Tears, and is after a fantastic poem by Richard Sykin called Scheherazade. This is called Abertawe, and it's for CHD. Tell me about the time I mansplained that Swansea is the English for Abertawe and means town at the mouth of the River Taw. And about when, from the hill above Rossili Beach, Lundy Island's spectral mass floated on the blue of the Bristol Channel. And to the south, a different River Taw, without the E, runs up the map towards us, to the sandy estuary where it joins the sea. Along their routes, both rivers gain salt and tide, a world beyond anglers, herons, otters, or that fold along the English Channel, where Land's End mirrors Finisterre, and St Michael's Mount reflects Mont Saint-Michel. Tell me about that time we opened the atlas of our held hands and found 2 identical scars. This next poem's seasonal in that I'm recording this fairly close to the 5th of November, and it appears in Dreich 100, published by Jack Caradoc. This is all that fireworks can do. Go forth, bang, sparkle, multiply. Every gunpowder grain sows lightning. Light time lapses its flowers up there, hangs Edwardian lacework, drapes the night with silver curtains, twists down the black in golden chains, vanishes. Way back, a rocket fizzes past my father's ear, no friend of caution. His lemonade bursts from a fresh bottle, seethes in his white amacais. A kid chucks a lit match at a pile of random powder, and no fire blanket or bucket of sand. Pray silence before a million pistol cracks shatter the cool crockery of evening, and without anyone noticing, split the atom. This next poem appeared in Flight of the Dragonflies online magazine and called Flights, and is currently the opening poem in a draft of my second full collection entitled Awash. This is all the names in the firmament. Stars upend themselves, burrow round for eternity, dots on countless dice, shaken then rolled across the black bays. Light lets fly towards us from before, then hits the back of the retina. An elder points and recites their names, tastes each consonant with a click of tongue and lip, a measured and precise lick of fresh gloss on the cool air. This is when I zone out and instead listen for their birth names, rhythmed in faint pulses of travelling brightness. I'd like to finish with a blast from the past. This is a poem from The Fish Inside, which is my debut full collection published by Flight of the Dragonflies in 2023. It contains a reference to Regal, a brand of cigarettes, and also refers to Pizza Crolla, which is a pizza restaurant in Glasgow, and other pizza outlets in Glasgow are also available. It involves a real memory of seeing Donald Sutherland film a scene from a film called The Eye of the Needle outside the train station in Oban many years ago. This is called Signal Box Oban. No need now for the rows of levers on the first floor of mostly windows, tugging signs up and down. Donald Sutherland skulked past it in The Eye of the Needle as a German spy, dumped a pile of newspapers revealing his existence over the wall and into the sea from the railway pier in a scene that was cut. The super sprinter train hints at speeds it can't muster or fully master the climbs on the way to Glasgow. Stops for a styrofoam cuppa and a Regal while the drivers change at Crianlarich. Not much longer until Queen Street Station. Sammy Dow's and Pizza Crolla, stay-pressed trousers and Harringtons, football and records, and the underground in the city where the undercover signals came from in the first place. Thanks so much for listening.
And so in typical Storms fashion, in order to end the podcast today, I'm going to leave you with a few poems of my own. And this time I've decided to pick two poems that were recently published by the absolutely bloody brilliant Broken Spine Arts. Head of Broken Spine Arts is Alan Parry, who you've heard on the podcast in the past. The final poem that I'm going to read is from the anthology The Whiskey Tree, and it is broken into three sections: Untamed Nature, Untamed Love, and Untamed Identity. But the first poem I'm going to read is from a beautiful book, an anthology that they brought out recently called Beautiful Little Fools. Poetry of glamour, obsession and the Gilded Age, a celebration of the 100 years of the publication of The Great Gatsby from F. Scott Fitzgerald. This masterpiece that they've brought together was published by co-authors Alan Parry and the magnificent Karen Pierce Gonzalez. A huge congratulations to them on putting this beautiful anthology together, and congratulations to everyone who has taken part. Civilization is going to pieces. That October of 17, Louisville dressed itself in white, daisies and roadsters. Telephones rang off the hook, Fays bellowed soldiers like flags, pitching poles before battlefields roared. He knew women early, he said later. June of 18 after armistice, Daisy flushed in white dissolves dream of former soldier in the mouth of a bridal bath. Chokes under strain of a polo player in a string of pearls. He desired other things. Wilder flowers, myrtle in the 20s, bushy bloom of a thing hitched to a soft egg while scrambling over the bad one. Married to people they hate, still she dreams of being swept off her feet. Only souls rise from ash heaps, not stars. In the end, an occultist as watch men fall from gods, fall for women, fey ones, gay ones, gas wives, watch them kiss mortality. Morality is a dance only for the cold of heart. Winter, singing sequences of sequins and the crunch of copperhead snakes. This wind, this malleable thing, a hissing of snakes in song, a season of shedding skin. Lost leaves are sound bites, collectives of copperheads, waves of final percussion, strings snap, surrender. We have been plucked from trees. We have been fucked by winter's call to the coffin. Eden was not a place of permanence. There were other patches waiting to be fingered, found as fertile, flirtatious, other apples begging to be bitten. Beyond this viper's pit, this stench of things stayed too long, staled to shit. On the lake, the sun is an orchestration of light, conducting a sequence of sequined scales across liquid, bluer than a sky its envy cannot disguise. Distraction is a dirty thing, like monotony, monogamy. Slivers by the shore, a sea snake now slipped from skin, slips unseen below the surface. Underwater, snake songs grow smoother, swallow all that light before that mandible, now so malleable, cuts into core. Crunch of carpet under boot, over burial, hissings wriggle into worms as mother belches in the digestion of all she once expelled. Last leaves on this hardened soil, on these soiled sheets now crisp with a ripened stink of a lost summer's sweat. A hissing beneath the mulch of a seduction that once blew us into surrender under another name. I shiver in the sun, where the light is dark in your absence, in a season of snake songs hissing as leaf is left to fall. Poetic peeps and gentle persons, in-betweeners and unconformers, genders all and genders equal, we've reached the end of this second episode of Eat the Storms, the poetry podcast. On behalf of myself, Damien B. Donnelly, thank you so much for joining us today, tomorrow, yesterday, or whenever it is you tuned in and listening to the remarkable talents of Marcelle Newbold, Ben Simmons, Julie Stevens and Andy Breckenridge. For details on all of my guests, you can, of course, head on over to eatthestorms.com, click on the section called Listen to the Podcast, and there you will find a short blog post on every episode. This was Season 10, Episode 2, and in that post you'll find headshots, bios, website addresses, and perhaps media handles, so you can find, follow, and be fans to everyone on the show today. And before we go, another reminder that the Storms Journal, our printed journal of poetry, prose and visual arts, is about to launch its 5th issue. This time, I was accompanied by the multi-talented Rona Green as sub-editor, and on the 1st of November we will launch this new issue in Farnham Castle here in Dublin. Following that, we'll have a Zoom launch for our international contributors, and then the Poetry Podcast will become the audio companion to the Storms Journal so that we can showcase all of our 89 star Stormers from the 5th issue. And believe me, it really is an incredible issue. Although I have to say, I do say that about every issue, but it is the truth. So a huge thank you to Fingal Arts, Fingal County Council, Dublin City Council and of course Dublin UNESCO City of Literature. And while speaking of them, I'd also like to do another shout out to Dublin UNESCO City of Literature and Dublin City Council, because this year they have come together with the Irish Writers' Centre, where I am currently the head of programming, and we have produced this incredible series called Dublin One City Many Stories, celebrating the history and legacy of literature in Dublin and beyond. And every month from August until December this year, we are sharing one of those episodes on our website or over on our YouTube channels. And those writers include Joseph O'Connor, Neil Jordan, John Banville, Marion Keyes, Victoria Kennefic, Emmett Kirwan, Olivia Fitzsimons, Kevin Curran, Aoife Barry, Nuala O'Connor, Peter Sir, Mike McCormack, Christine Dwyer-Hickey, Andrew Hughes. And this month, we're launching episode number 4, and it's called An Island of Many Nations, showcasing the diversity in Irish literature today with writers based here in Ireland who have roots in so many different countries. And that lineup includes our own Irish language poet Kieran E.A., Kaveri Madhavan, Raphael Mendez, Gustav Parker Hibbett, Amy Barry, Suad Aldara, Malatu Ochi Okuro and Nandi Jolla, to name but a few. So do pop on over to the websites and have a listen. And speaking of websites, please do keep connected with us via our own website, eatthestorms.com, and also on our socials, from X to Instagram to Blue Sky, and all of them are on the handle Eat the Storms. I look forward to you tuning in again next time on your preferred podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple, Breaker, Podbean, Player FM, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castbox, Podcast Addicts, iTunes, Amazon Music, or maybe even YouTube. My name has been Damien B. Donnelly. This has been Eat the Storms. You have been astonishing, my guests have been remarkable, and I have been bloody insane. But until next time, stay bloody poetic.